Alright, what we're going to do is to do the white cutout. First thing we want to do is duplicate our background. So I'm going to duplicate the layer. Now just real note, I just turned that off. That's habit, and for us later when we do the hair, you'll see why that's good to turn that off. But in case you got any of the bars or outside stuff, just go ahead and use the crop tool and go ahead and crop to where we only see the white background. Now this one's got a little overexposed, but we'll fix that at a later step. But the first thing we want to do is crop her out. So we got the background copy, we got the background eyeball off. What I'm going to do is go up here, grab the magic wand. I'm going to go ahead and select anywhere in the white area. I have the background selected. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around and I'm looking around the edge to make sure. Now if you need to do the shadow, you hold shift and you click. Now it picked up pretty good because I set my tolerance pretty high, but let's go select, deselect. I think the tolerance for most computers are defaulted at 35. Watch what happens. See here, it doesn't pick it up as well. So you can either bump up the tolerance like I did at 75, and then that allows us to do a little bit more. Or if it was at 35, what you can do is click, and then you hold down the shift key, and you can click in the shadow. Obviously, I like to bump up the tolerance to 75 and click. Now if it selects too much, let's say the person had a white jacket and it selects too much, what you do is you just lower the tolerance down to like maybe 50, 40. Sometimes it's a couple clicks to figure out what you're going to do. Now what we got to do is we got to look at the hair. That's where it always is a little tricky, so let me show you what we're going to do. First thing is we got to have the teacher selected. So what we're going to do is we got to inverse our selection because as mentioned earlier, we have the background selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to select and inverse. Now as you can see, I have just the teacher selected. All right. If you had to zoom in on any spots to make sure that they were selected appropriately, we'll go over here in the hair, see how the hair, we'll fix that in a little bit. I'll show you how to fix that in the earring. The refine edges goes away because we do not have the selection tool selected. See how it says refine edges, or if you go here, there's refine edges, or the magic wand where it says refine edges, because these are our selection tools. I usually go to the magic wand. It's a good little habit. Make sure anti-alias is selected, continuous, and then that's good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on refine edges. Now you see it went to white because my view is white. We want to show radius, and let's do on layers. Oh, maybe we should take that off. Okay. Oh, smart radius, that's what we want. We want that selected. Okay, so I usually like to do the transparent background, and as you can see, it picked up a little bit of her earrings here, a little bit got kind of cut off. Her hair does not look smooth at all. It's not good. So we have to refine some of these edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this radius, and I'm just going to keep pulling it up until it looks like it's picking up some of her hair. So I think 75 is usually, or 80 is usually where I go. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to keep going back and forth between these two selections. What I'm going to do is I am actually going to go to the masking. I kind of like this one because then I can see what is selected and what's not. See, it's pulling this in, pulling that out. And then over here you'll see you got your paintbrush and an eraser. Okay, so if I have my paintbrush and I come over here, see how I can kind of paint this out a little bit? What it's going to do is this computer's going to pull out and try to pick up some more of this hair. Okay, and I'm just going to go in here. And so I'm going to kind of paint this out just a little bit so it picks up a little bit more of her hair. I'm just going to paint this out, and it's going to pick up more of her hair. Okay, now along her suit, if you want, you go to eraser, and you want this to be tight because we want it tight around her suit. It's her hair that we want loose, so that's pretty tight. That is all pretty tight. And yes, you have to meticulously go around the entire body and make sure it's all tight. Alright, so I'm going to use the eraser. I'm going to use the paintbrush. Tight, tight, tight. Everything looks pretty tight. And I'm just cleaning it up. And I like the mask. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to go back here and get my paintbrush. See how I went over a little bit? It's okay, I just paint right in the middle. Alright, tight, tight. Alright, let's see how it looks now on white. Okay, that looks good. Sometimes you could do black and white, and then you can kind of see, like right there. There we go. Let's do that. Alright, and I'm meticulously looking and glancing around. Okay, so I'm going to go back to on white, take show radius off, and notice now her hair. I picked up her hair, and she looks pretty tight. I think that looks good. I got strands here. I got her earrings in. Alright, and then let's pull the smooth up just a little bit. See how it smoothed that up just a tad? And I'm looking at the number. I usually look over here and then click and drag as I'm looking over here, because it's really the hair that we're looking at. We're not feathering. We're going to decontaminate the colors about 50%. And see how I'm meticulously working down the settings. But up here gets a little tricky with that whole mask. That does take some practice. Now this looks a little odd. Her glasses, something with the glare, and her glasses got off a little bit. So we'll have to fix that when we get out of this refine edges, because it does look a little weird. Alright, and then I noticed down here, but I don't know if anybody's going to notice that. Alright, everything looks good. Now the big thing is you want new layer with a layer mask. So it's going to add a new layer for us with the mask. And remember settings? No, because we'll do everybody's a little different. So we click OK. And there it is. Okay, so I'm going to turn this off, turn this back on. Oh, that her original picture is like that. That is weird, huh? Doesn't it look off? So maybe this might not be the best picture to use. I think it was her prettiest one. Alright, so I'm going to turn that off. Now the question was, levels. Okay, so let me zoom out. Well, before I do levels, what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop. Now I'm not too worried about the thirds, because when she goes on the page, remember, she's going to be cropped out. Now, it looks a little dull. It has no vibrance to it. So let's go back to what we learned earlier. Make sure you're on the correct layer. We're going to go to Image, Adjustment, Levels. So this is everything we know. You know to bring that in. See? Ooh, look how nice. Look at the color of her face. I always look at the color of people's faces, look at their clothes, look at it, you eyeball it, you adjust it. Now, if you move this one, see how it gets darker? You move it this way, it gets a little lighter. Okay? And she got a little shadow on her chin. Oh, it's a bummer deal. That's from the lighting. This might not be the best picture to use for the yearbook, although it's her prettiest one. Alright, then we're going to go to Image, Auto Tone, Image, Auto Contrast. Sometimes you can't visually see it. And Auto Color. Might look good. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I don't know if I would use this particular photo, although it's her prettiest smile. We might have to do some fancier Photoshop, take this face and this smile and Photoshop it on other pictures, but as you can see, she's got the shadow, so it doesn't look natural, and there's something going on with the white behind her glasses. It looks like her head goes in and then back out. So anyways, that's what we need to do. And then let me show you one more step. Adjustment. We haven't learned this one yet. So we've done levels, right? We've done tone, contrast, color. But check this one out. Vibrance. I love vibrance. Okay, you take this and you just pull it in a little bit. Make sure previews are checked. And then saturation. Just pull that in. Oh, too much. Too much. She doesn't have much color, so maybe this is not a good one to show, but everything else looks pretty good, and you hit OK. Now, I always make sure you save as a Photoshop file. Make sure you make a file on your folder and call it, teachers, and save it. So let's say this was my file folder on my computer. I'd go here. I'd call it 2016 teachers, just so you keep track of what's going on, and make sure it's a PSD. This way, if we need to go, I'm like, oh no, you messed up on the arm, or there's something crazy going on over here, we could go back and change it, and you have your layers, and we can edit the mask. Alright, so it's going to take a bit. It's rendering. This is what it does. It's not that my computer's slow. This is high-end you know, photoshopping. Give it a second, and then when this is finished saving, what we're going to do is we're going to save it as a ping file, so when we upload it to Herf Jones, that this transparent background, the checkerboard, then becomes transparent in Photoshop. If we saved it as a JPEG, it would be a white box. If you saved it obviously as a another format such as bitmap, don't ever do that one, it would be a white background. But because we want to maintain that transparency, we just go save as. You pull this down, and we're going to do ping, okay, and ignore the speaker, and this comes up, the ping options, and we're going to hit OK, and then this does take a while. So that's what you're going to do, and then make sure when you upload it, you know, name tag this. This is Miss Noose, and she's the CTE teacher. The next video, I'm going to show you how to whiten teeth and how to vibrance the eyes.